Welcome, Cinemaniacs, back to my channel for our second video. Today we are doing a Star Wars live-action movie ranking of all 11 movies in the franchise. I'm joined today with my good friend Eli.
What's up?
This channel is for movie rankings and for movie reviews, etc. If you haven't already, comment down below what's your ranking of the movies, what's your favorite. Go and subscribe on the channel. Let's get started. My number 11 for the worst movie in the franchise is Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. There's no doubt that this was the worst. This is pretty much a movie that was trying to fix issues in the last movie that we had. Nothing made sense. The characters were completely awful. There's a romance part in that movie that just makes no sense. Bringing back Palpatine was the worst thing in the world. Nothing about it was good. It wasn't even entertaining. The last fight was like 3 minutes long probably, and the whole Skywalker saga to be hated on that, it's definitely the worst. It was such a disappointment. What's your number 11?
My number 11 is also Rise of Skywalker. The movie was so bad that they tried to pull like heartstrings on you, do the romance type of thing. It didn't work. It didn't work. I just didn't like it. It wasn't good.
Okay, so coming in at my number 10 is going to be Star Wars: The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi is probably the most divisive movie. Either you love it or you hate it. Most people hate it. I'm on that side as well. I can't stand pretty much anything about this movie. Starting off with the characters and how they interact with each other. Nobody seems to connect with each other. It doesn't feel like Star Wars. The part where they ran out of fuel. We haven't talked about fuel in this whole franchise, and then now it's an issue for the whole movie, and we're just sitting in this one spot the whole movie waiting for stuff to happen. And don't get me started on the little rabbit chase to the casino. They get there, do their thing, and then nothing happens. Literally, the guy they get betrays them, and then nothing happens. What's your number 10?
Mine is the same as yours, Last Jedi. I thought Last Jedi was going to be the movie where we finally got to see Luke Skywalker back in action, because in the trailer you saw he was out in the little field, and so when he came back, I was like, maybe this movie's about to get better. And then that fight seems kind of cool. Then it turns out he wasn't even there, and he dies after that. And for him to go out like that, I'm just like, there's not enough backstory to him after Return of the Jedi. Yeah, they kind of made him like not even the same person.
Coming in at my number 9 is Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. There are parts in this movie that is good. Most of the movie is boring because it's all dealing with the diplomats and the government issues and like the Jedi trying to fix all these issues. For nostalgia reasons, these were the movies me and you grew up on. These were the ones that like we watched constantly. We probably remember the most out of. In this one, though, there's pretty much only two good things about this movie. One is the pod race. I actually really enjoy the pod race. It's such a great.
It's awesome.
Actually a really awesome sequence. Everyone knows the second greatest lightsaber fight ever with Darth Maul, and the score is, oh my gosh, it's so amazing. What's your number 9?
I have Force Awakens at number 9. For the first half hour of this movie, I was like, dude, this movie's about to be freaking awesome. Kylo Ren did that little force the laser thing at the beginning, and I was like, he's going to be awesome. Then they kind of made him kind of immature towards the halfway point in the movie, and I was just like, he's trying to be like Darth Vader, but he's over here throwing tantrums, and I'm just like, yeah, this kind of just ruined the movie for me. And then they tried to make Rey. The last three, my problem is, like, they tried to make Rey like this godlike figure, like she's just born knowing how to use the Force. And so I'm just like, yeah, something's not right there.
My number 8 is Force Awakens. Like, at first, I really did like this movie. There were things about it that I liked. I liked the look. I liked the fact that it brought back Star Wars. But then I sit on it. I'm like, wait, I don't like they bring in characters that I could care less about because they don't go through backstories or anything. It's just mostly like they're thrown in and nothing's explained. And then we got Han Solo dies. One of the most beloved characters in the whole franchise. And it's from his son, who is the villain? That makes no sense.
Harrison Ford just didn't want to be there anymore.
To kill off characters like that, it feels to me that it could have been so great. Like, Rey, she could have been a great character, but the way she was portrayed, she went through no training, nothing, and she just, like, picks up the lightsaber and she's able to defeat Kylo Ren, which he's obviously more powerful than. What's your number 8?
Number 8, I have Attack of the Clones. I have no real complaints about Attack of the Clones. I think the bounty hunter scene at the beginning, where they tried to Poison Padme is kind of pointless. After that, the Droid Factory, the arena, we got to see Jango Fett. I thought those were all three pretty good things about that movie. Also, we had Mullet Obi-Wan Kenobi. I wasn't a big fan of like how the wedding or whatever between Anakin and Padme. I was just like, we could have went without that because in the episode after that, episode 3, she could have just been shown wearing a ring or something.
My number 7 is Attack of the Clones. The only reason why this one's higher than pretty much any of the other ones is it feels true to us.
Yeah.
Like the story wise, yeah, it's got problems.
Yeah, it's okay.
There's it's kind of all over the place. There's so many plot points here and there. There's so many things brought in that don't make sense. But overall, it's a very enjoyable Star Wars movie, and there's nothing really to gripe about. Like I like all the characters. I like the fights. I thought bringing in Jango Fett and the mystery in Kamino was a great.
That was the first movie we saw Count Dooku in, right?
Yeah.
We really got to see him fight in that one too, and he fought Yoda, Anakin.
I love the whole chase with Obi-Wan going after Jango in the asteroid belt.
Mm-hmm.
And he's throwing the sound bombs. What's your number 7?
I put Solo at number 7. I recently watched it.
Okay.
I thought it was a good story. Thought it was interesting. Dude that played Han Solo did really good for having to fill Harrison Ford. Pretty interesting because I know a lot of people forget how he came up to be and where he came from. It's a good movie, but it's not one of it's not great. But I'd watch it again for sure.
My number 6 is Solo. Solo, to me, it gets overhated. I don't understand why people hate on this movie. It's good.
It's not Harrison Ford.
The guy did a good job. It's not.
Oh, he did.
Ford. The whole gripes with everything.
Yeah.
There's nothing to gripe with on this movie. There's nothing wrong.
One thing I wish there was more of is I wish there was more showcase of him using guns other than when he was in the Imperial March or whatever.
Yeah, there's great there's good things about it. The only reason why this one's lower on the list is because there's not enough great moments.
Yeah.
I like everything about it. The whole train scene was actually a really good setup scene. The whole ending was pretty cool, but it just it felt like there wasn't enough. There wasn't any action. There wasn't enough. Okay, what's your number 6?
I have Phantom Menace. Classic to me. Darth Maul's in it, for God's sake. He's not in it much, but when he's in it, you're just watching to see him do something cool. Obviously, the pod race is a pretty underrated scene. Kind of shows the heart of Anakin and him wanting to be the best at a young age. And I don't know, you can't really complain about the lightsaber battle. The droid battle on that one planet was not bad. So I think it's above Solo for me because it's got a little more action in it, in my opinion.
Probably nostalgia reasons too.
Yeah.
You grew up on that one. So
I did grow up on that one and played the Lego Star Wars game.
Coming in at my number 5 is Return of the Jedi, the conclusion to the original trilogy. Now, from here on out, number 5 to number 1, I would probably give 5 out of 5 stars. Return of the Jedi is a perfect conclusion to this awesome trilogy. It has probably one of the best space battles. It had one of the greatest triumphs for Luke Skywalker to overcome his father, to defeat both of the villains within the movie. The one thing that knocks this a little back though for me, because it is great. There's nothing
Oh yeah.
I wasn't ever a huge fan of the Ewok part of the movie. It felt kiddie. If you're gonna have this movie be the conclusion to such a beloved series, it went too much into kiddie kind of stuff. There's this part where C-3PO is being worshipped by the Ewoks because they think he's a god. It's cute. Little things like that are just little gripes with me. But other than that, it's perfect.
No complaints.
It's a perfect movie.
It's got everything you want in it.
What's your number 5?
I have A New Hope at 5. A New Hope started out a little weird for me. New Hope just, in my opinion, wasn't as good as the other ones I'm about to list. There's nothing wrong with it, but I just prefer to watch the others I'm about to list. It introduces Luke. We actually get we kind of know a backstory on Luke, but it still kind of shows what he does when he's younger. If I do have a knock on it, though, it was Darth Vader when he fought Obi-Wan. It could have been so much better. I don't know. It was kind of lame.
Coming in at number 4 for me is Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Is that your number 4?
Yeah, that's my number 4.
This was such a surprise because I went into this movie thinking it was going to be probably really boring and just bad, because at that time I think we had Force Awakens out and The Last Jedi, but those two were just bad to me in every way. And then I went into Rogue One. I was like, oh, they're doing a prequel story to Star Wars? I don't know about that. What's so great about Rogue One is that it answers questions that we needed in the whole trilogy of the original, like the original trilogy. We were all asking questions about like how was it so easy for them to destroy the Death Star, and how was it so easy for all this?
How did they get the plans?
Those questions. It answered questions of why, like what I wanted answered, which made sense. The characters were great. Jyn Erso was an underrated character in my opinion. Yep. The blind man, he had an awesome moment in that movie where he just like uses the Force, even though he can't use it. He just like, I have the Force within me because he's a rebel, and he like uses it to his good to like defeat people.
Obviously, my number 4 is Rogue One as well. I think I loved the movie. I loved the whole movie, and then we got to the end part.
Oh my gosh.
Darth Vader came in, and I was like, movie of the year right here.
He literally just demolishes everybody in that ship. Coming in at number 3 for me is A New Hope. It's the beginning of the franchise. It's amazing. It's such a great start to this beautiful and loved franchise that we've all grown to like over the years. The only thing that pushes it back from being like number 2 or number 1 is that enjoyability. I think this movie is not as enjoyable as the other ones I'm getting ready to list. It's great. There's nothing wrong with A New Hope. It falls a little flat on the action. It's such a great introduction with all the characters we get to learn. Han Solo's great. Luke Skywalker's great. Princess Leia. There's nothing bad. The opening scene with Darth Vader coming in, he establishes he's the big bad. He's one of the best villains of all time. Immediately. Everything about the movie is great. There's like only a little gripe I have with it, like the whole part with them getting trapped in the gutters where they're attacked by...
It was kind of pointless.
Where they're attacked by some weird alien monster, and I don't know, it was fine. It obviously makes sense, but there's nothing wrong about the movie.
It's just like the beginning of the franchise for that part, which is why Phantom Menace is higher on my list than it is yours. I mean, it's the start, man.
What's your number 3?
Return of the Jedi is my number 3. It's got everything you want in a movie. Unlike you, though, I did like the Ewok part. I was like, cool, they kind of made it fun, even though they were in danger. And Han Solo being down there, it was awesome. I think we can all say that the last about 20 minutes of the movie is just great. My favorite part, though, is the end where Luke sees all the ghosts of, like, Qui-Gon, Yoda, Obi-Wan, and Anakin. When Anakin popped up, I was like, Eli, don't cry. It was a great way to end everything.
Coming in at my number 2, and Eli's probably going to get mad at me at this. My number 2 is Revenge of the Sith. The only reason why I have this at number 2 and not at number 1 is I feel like there are...
I know exactly what you're going to say.
There are scenes in this movie that are extremely cheesy. Extremely.
Yep, I knew it.
Extremely cheesy. The dialogue in this movie is pretty bad. This whole movie has been like memed and everything. I love everything about it. Don't get me wrong. Like it's true Star Wars. This is what I want. Positives for this movie. The last hour of this movie is phenomenal. I like the beginning. The great like space fight that they have, them going into the General Grievous's ship, and that it's great. Order 66 is amazing. The whole beginning with General Grievous is great. The chase scene on the planet where Obi-Wan goes to get him, that's great. The last hour where they have Yoda fighting Darth Sidious, he literally walks in like on his cane. He uses the Force like barely, and it just knocks out like 2 guards, and he goes to Sidious and starts fighting him. Oh my gosh, it's such an amazing fight. The one thing everyone talks about in this movie is Obi-Wan versus Anakin.
Yep.
My gosh, I will have to say that is the best fight in all of Star Wars history. I highly doubt there will ever be anything.
Oh, it's not even close. It's not even close.
This is such a great ending to the movie because it lives up to the hype.
Yep, it sure does.
From whenever Anakin, you know something's going to go down. Anakin gets out of that ship. Padme and them come by a little later. She's like getting out, talking to him, struggling, and he's doing all his things. Obi-Wan says his classic lines. Then they just go at it and fight, and it's just amazing.
It's great.
What's your number 2?
Number 2 for me is Empire Strikes Back. Many people call it the best sequel to a movie ever. Watch the movie, it speaks for itself. I mean, there's a good bit of action in there. Han Solo's great in it. Darth Vader's in it, obviously. It's a good movie. Luke kind of starts trying to be a Jedi. Yoda dies. RIP, R.I.P. Yoda. Best sequel to a movie ever, and it's really good.
Number 1 for me is Empire Strikes Back. This is perfect Star Wars. To me, anyway, this is perfect Star Wars. And it has everything right about a sequel. Doubles down on darkness. It doubles down on all the things that we want. For your main hero to become better at what he's trying to do, to train, to do all his montages, to learn from the wise, to go on to different planets. It's just amazing. The whole opening Hoth battle, perfect.
It's great.
Perfect Star Wars.
That part's underrated.
But like everyone talks about the whole last like 40 minutes of this movie, which is where Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader fight. I like it. It's not the best battle, but it is great. And the whole surprise where Darth Vader tells him that he's his father, one of the most like famous twists in movie history, because none of us knew it. Like,
Yeah, we kind of forgot.
who would have guessed that Darth Vader was his father? No one, because we didn't know anything about him. Everything's great. Lando was a great addition to this whole story. Characters were brought in that made sense. Everything made sense. The dialogue wasn't cheesy. Nothing was wrong about it. Perfect sequel. This is probably one of the best sequels, if not the best sequel of all time to a movie.
Yeah.
What's your number one?
Number one for me, Revenge of the Sith. In my opinion, it's not even close. Anakin, Obi-Wan. I think an underrated part of that movie is Palpatine kind of just egging Anakin along at how like detailed that was. I still get chills anytime I hear that song come on. I don't know. It's just a great movie. It's no complaints.
That's our Star Wars live action movie ranking. If you haven't already, comment down below what's your ranking of the Star Wars franchise. Also subscribe for my channel. It's at Cinemaniacs.
If you have any video suggestions, put them in the comments.